Hi, happy Saturday. No, Friday. I'm a day off. I want it to be Saturday. I have plans. Happy Friday. Hello, Daryl. Hello. I'm going to give a little bit of time. See who may be coming on time tonight. Tonight is what? It's day 5 of the 30-day Boss Up Challenge. 5 days. I appreciate everybody for participating. Those who are participating, I think it's great. Those who aren't, no problem. Can always start it up at a later time. Let's see if I can invite, make sure. I know somebody was having problems getting in. Oh, hey, Dad. You got in. I just sent you an invite, but I'm not sure if you got in before I sent that. Okay. I'll give another minute before I get started. Good to go. I'll start at 9:05. Oh, you got the invite. Okay. Hey, September. Happy Friday. All right. Grace period's almost up. All right. 9:05. Let's get started. I'm going to give you this information in 20 minutes, like I said I would, and then we'll go to Q&A, and then I'll let you all enjoy your Friday evening. So tonight, we're going to be finishing up. Well, we may not finish. There may have to be a part 3 because I don't want to move too quickly through the parts of the business plan. So this will be part 2 of how to do a business plan. Before we get started, I always like to say thank you for tuning in. Please like the video, share the video, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Business Builder Basics. There's also a Facebook group and page that you can join. I really appreciate the support. And then for acknowledgments, tonight I'm going to shout out Tony Baptista. I hope that's how you say her last name. And her husband are the owners of Body Moves, which is an aftercare program and dance and martial arts program in Fort Washington, Maryland. And they've been there for quite a while. And I definitely like to shout out people that are hanging in there in business because I know that it can be truly difficult. So hold on one second. Let me make sure that my do not disturb is on my phone because it will stop my recording. Sorry, I should have had that done before. Okay. Hey, Derek. Happy Friday. Glad to see you in here. Okay. All right. So, body moves. I like to shout out the people that are hanging in there in business, especially the businesses that really are difficult but yet needed in the community. So she is a licensed child care provider, and I think it's a good place over there. So check them out if you live in the Fort Washington area. Okay, back to the business plan. All right, the business plan. So just a brief recap. Yesterday, we went over what constitutes an executive summary and what kind of information should be in the executive summary, which shouldn't be any more than about 2 pages. And if you were to read it or try to verbalize it, it wouldn't be any more than like a 5-minute overview presentation of what your business plan is. Okay. And then we went over general company description. And within that section, we talked about the mission statement, the company goals and objectives, the business philosophy, identifying your target market, identifying your company's strengths, core competencies, and officer or executive biographies. And that is where we left off. And so the next section is the products and services part, okay? The products and services part is where you really get more in detail about what product and or services you are offering. In the case of my business plan, it was multifaceted. There were at least about, I believe, 6 businesses that I identified that I wanted to start up. And each one of them I broke down in a paragraph format on here to just describe what it was going to be. I also had the tagline. A tagline is something that you say that's kind of catchy. So for instance, Peaceful Life Assisted Living, the tagline is "You deserve it." So basically, peaceful life. And for Perfect Angels Learning Center, it's the perfect child care for you. All right. So I think that just given a description of what you're going to be doing, what your services entail, and if it's multiple services, then you just have a little paragraph for each one so that people have a good idea of what it is. Keep in mind, when you're doing your business plan, nobody knows your business plan better than you. And so although you want to be concise, you don't want to be so brief that a person really doesn't know what you're talking about. They're really getting just a general idea, and you in your mind, you know exactly what you envision, but you have to make sure you understand that other people are not in your head. They don't know your business the way that you do. So describe it thoroughly enough that people have a really good idea of what it is that you're going to be offering. Okay. The next part of the business plan is your marketing plan. And your marketing plan is going to involve a couple of subsections. One of them is the market research that you're going to do. And the market research is when you do things like, for instance, in childcare, we did a survey or focus group kind of interview on learning about consumer preferences and that kind of thing. You can do consumer requested services. Like you can go to some type of database and just see what kind of need there is, or just all kind of things. And now that there's, Google and everything, it's much easier to do research and you want to make sure you always fact check what you see online, but you want to do research to know what is the market you're in, what your target market is going to be. If you go into something, you might think it's the greatest idea in the world, but if you don't really research the market, I mean, you don't know, it may be oversaturated or there may be like zero demand for it. Now, the economics of it all, you want to, when you're thinking about business, don't think about just what's happening today. Don't just think about the political, economic climate today. You have to be able to keep things in mind when you're looking at long-term things that's going to affect your business. So of course, if you intend to be in business more than 5 years, then you already know there's going to be a change in who the president of the United States will be. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that there are decisions and things that can happen politically that can actually really affect your business in a good or a bad way. Prime example is when I talked about the education video about college bound, think twice. Basically, there was legislation that had come down that was designed to try to protect students from being exploited by predatory lending practices and them using for-profit universities to basically, they made it big business. And they had legislation that came down that I can't remember the name of what it was, but it was basically designed to make sure that universities who graduated people, if they didn't have a certain percentage of their graduates get gainful employment, then they could no longer receive federal funding, because they wanted to kind of stop the universities and the programs that were basically giving people useless degrees. So that legislation came down, but then a few years later, someone was appointed to an office, I think it was with either the Department of Education, I want to say, and that person was allowed to basically like do away with that. But when they had initially put that out there, the business owners, it affected them and their stocks. I know the stocks went down by more than 50% by just within, I think, I want to say just a couple of years, and that's like a tremendous decrease. So the economy is very important. The economy of today, anticipating the economy of tomorrow, being able to have certain foresight about what you think might happen. Another example of considering the economics of everything and your market, the baby boomers. When I had this business plan, I had in mind that at some point within the next decade, the baby boomers would start approaching an age where they would start needing care. And so that means that there will be a surge basically of elderly people that need assisted living services. And so it felt like that might be something good to think about, getting into that industry. And so those are the things that you want to think about when you're thinking of the economy. And if, because like I accept Medicaid. Now, if we have legislation in place or people that don't want to make sure there is funding for that kind of thing, then that will wipe out half of my clientele, basically. Like, let's just say all of a sudden something came out and they said, we're doing away with the Medicaid waiver. That will put us out of business, to be quite honest. And it's made me actually want to be mindful of how many customers I accept that are on that program. So you have to understand the economy, basically. And when you're in childcare, if the economy is not good, if there's a recession or something like that, then there may be a lot of people who are unemployed or underemployed and therefore not really either be able to afford childcare or have no need for childcare. You want to just really be thinking about these things relative to what you're going to be doing. So the other thing you want to do concerning your marketing is create a demographic profile of your market. And that's just going to be, it can be bulleted points where you're going to put like, who's my target? What's the age of my target market? What's the socioeconomic status of my target market? You know, like, are they wealthy? Are they upper middle class, lower middle class? You know, those kind of things. Are you trying to appeal to males, females, transgender? I mean, what, you know, there are all these things you have to think about now. You want to know the location. Is it as small as a county or just even a city? Or is it as big as international? And you want to know things like social class and occupation. So, are you looking for people that are unemployed, working class professionals, blue collar, you know, that kind of thing. So, you want the person who's reading your business plan to know that you've thought about exactly who you are targeting. If you can't do that, that's a problem, because that means you're thinking that you have this service or this product that just, you just have a feeling it's just going to pop. You know, you just, if there's someone out there, someone's going to love it, you know. No, that's really not the best approach. I mean, if you get lucky, you come up with something that really spans broadly, but it's better to be able to hone in on a group. Even when you, I'm not sure how many of you have used Facebook for advertising, but if you boost a post, they want you to choose your target audience. And they give you the options for doing like a radius in a city. And like I was trying to do one the other day, and I was like, well, I want it to be, you know, the United States, Canada, Asia, Africa, the whole world, basically. And it told me, it gave me a hint, basically, or a suggestion that this is too broad. And so I was like, okay, well, let me delete Asia. Okay, let me delete Africa. It got down to the point where just the United States was good enough for what they were saying, for the amount of money that I was going to spend, and for, you know, what I was trying to do. Once I narrowed it down enough, it said, okay, that's reasonable. Now we can probably get you this amount of views, clicks, whatever. So it's very good to be specific. The next thing is know your competition. Know your competition. You know, although I feel confident that if I have competitors, I could likely sustain, because I would figure out how to be resourceful, how to do it better, how to do it more cost effectively. I'm going to try to figure out how to survive with competitors. But that doesn't mean you don't want to be aware of who your competitors are and what they're doing. So if you are looking for a childcare center, you're looking for your location, and you notice that it's one on the corner and another one like 2 blocks down, and maybe they're large childcare centers. You want to know what age they take. Because, for instance, the place that I shout out today, Body Moves, they only do aftercare. So they're not even open during the day, basically. They only do aftercare. So what if I didn't research that? What if I didn't know that? I might say, oh, I don't want to do a childcare center here because there's a licensed place right down the street. Well, if you're taking infants and preschoolers, then that's not really even your competition. It's only your competition for the aftercare component. And if you want to make sure that you can be competitive with aftercare because they have aftercare, if you know they're doing martial arts, perhaps you'll offer tutoring services or performing arts, the kind of things like maybe piano lessons or, you know, that kind of thing. So you can't figure out how to beat your competition until you kind of know your competition, basically, in that kind of circumstance. And then, of course, just doing things to the best of your ability is one of the best ways to beat the competition. But you do want to know who your competitors are, and you want the person who's looking at your business plan to know. So for here with childcare, where I was considering it, I had like for the learning centers, I had Sylvan Learning Center and Huntington Learning Center. That was for the Good Hope Learning Center. And I looked at private schools, I looked at Loperty Academy, KinderCare, and those kind of things. So I also created a competitive analysis table. And I sure wish that I knew how to get fancy on here and have things pop up on the screen. I'm sure I'll get there one day. But I did a table basically called a competitive analysis. And I put in each column here, like the first column is the factor, which are products, price, quality, service. The second column says me, my business. The next column is a strength. Next column is weakness. The next column is competitor A. The next column is competitor B. And the next column is importance to customer. And so for each one, I just basically, for me, for products in this part right here, I said, well, my products are going to be unique. I'm going to provide quality services that avoid the feeling of being institutionalized. Here I was speaking of Peaceful Life. I put that's a strength. My competitor, Morningside House, well, they're a premier assisted living. And the competitor, KinderCare, they offer quality childcare. So I have to figure out how am I going to be competitive, and the importance to the customer. Those things are very important. So it's hard for me to really explain the competitive analysis chart and if it's even something that you'll be interested in doing. But I like tables, I like charts, because you can look at something and you can see kind of quickly like how things line up with each other. So for me, I felt like, I wanted to be, for my product, I said it would be unique. For my price, I said it would be below market to make accessible to various people. For the quality, I would say excellent, caring, qualified staff. That was before I actually got into business. I really felt like excellent, caring, qualified staff was going to be something that was unique, that I was going to make sure I figured out how to get those people. I was 25 years old when I did this, and I had not yet had one employee. So that part was very difficult, but that's what I was striving to do. That's what was in my business plan. And so the service, I wanted it to be unprecedented and affordable. So I just basically listed it out, and that's a good way for you to compare things. The column goes all the way down. I address factors like reliability, stability, expertise, company reputation, location, appearance, sales method, credit policies, advertising, image. Looked at all of those things. So the next subsection of the marketing part of the business plan, how are you going to promote your business? Promotion, very important. If nobody's talking about your business, how are they going to know about you? What I see in some businesses that don't do well, that fail or are not thriving or are not reaching their full potential, they're not promoting their business. Now, when I was working with Peaceful Life Assisted Living, I was very active in the community when it came to dressing up, going to the nursing homes, calling around, introducing myself to social workers, and trying to basically tell them about us. Hey, we're here. Is there anything you need? Do you actually have any residents that need to be discharged this week? Because I can go meet them right now. Promote yourself. You need to promote. You need to get, my dad was famous for like getting the yard signs and putting them out in the middle of the night, before the county takes them away, so that at least, the morning crowd or a few days, people are driving by and can see your yard signs. We used to use the penny saver when the penny saver was popular. And now Facebook, social media is one of the most powerful promotional tools you can use. And it's very underutilized by people because they either don't know how to do it or they don't think that it'll be effective. But you have to promote your business. If you don't promote your business, who will? Eventually, if you develop a reputation, things can kind of spread word of mouth, and just the need that people may have, they may come looking for you. So if you're a child care center and you're by the Air Force Base and you get like a new family that's relocated to the area, they're going to actually look around to see what places are close to the base. So that you didn't necessarily actively promote, but people can find you. But in some circumstances, nobody will know about you unless you promote yourself. Okay, so how will you get the word out to customers? How are you going to advertise? And have you identified low-cost methods to get the most out of your promotional budget? Don't go broke promoting yourself. Be careful with that. You want to consider your promotional budget. So how much will you spend on these things? Think about what you're going to spend on your promotion before you start up, and then what it will cost to continue promoting after you exist. Those may be two very different things. You can imagine that the promotion of a new business, there will be a lot more put into it than the promotion of a business that's already established, for the most part. If your business needs to be revived, then you may have to treat it like a grand opening. So you want to go over your pricing and make sure your pricing is competitive. One of the mistakes that I made was actually making my pricing just way too low to even survive at times. And you have to be careful. You want to be competitive, but the other thing is be careful about thinking that everyone is looking for the lowest price. If you're looking for a certain market, remember the example I used yesterday. If you watch that video, the UFC gym is $99 a month. Planet Fitness is $9.99 a month. Planet Fitness wants the people that want to pay $9.99. UFC doesn't. They don't care if the $9.99 people preference. They don't want those people. And so sometimes people want to spend more because they feel like if something is too low a price, that the quality won't be there. And chances are they're right. And so be careful about how low you go. I have to consider that even with the bed and breakfast facilities that I have, because if you drop that price, like let's say your rooms are not getting booked, you have a lot of empty beds over the course of a week. I have to sometimes sit back and think, do I want to actually drop it down past, $35 or $30 a night? Because if I go any lower than that, now I have to worry about, is it worth it? The time that has to be put in, the wear and tear, and also potentially the type of customers that you might attract if that's not what you want. Because there are, in the B&B industry, there is a certain type of customer at times that if the price is really low, you have to be very cautious. So you want to definitely consider your pricing, your location, and your distribution channels. And your distribution channels are like your sales forecast. Now that you've described your products and services, your customers, your market, and your marketing plan, now you want to put some numbers to it. And so you're going to be like basically setting the stage to introduce that you're starting to think about projections based on that. Okay, so all of this is marketing. This is all under marketing. The next section, and because we're a little beyond the 20-minute mark, I feel like we will have to continue with this tomorrow, because the next section will be the operational plan, and that has a couple of subsets to it. And definitely, let's see, you have management and organization, which is another portion. That's really just when you're listing who's doing what, who's holding what role. And personal financial statement, startup expense and capitalization, financial plan. Those things are going to be important. So I can really see this being maybe another, because if I stick to that 20-minute rule, I can see this being maybe 2 more videos to really break this business plan apart. But if we do it right, it'll be worth it, I think, because had I not used the business plan template, those would have been things that I would have needed to think of to tell you about, because it's very important when you're starting a business. And this is all about business building basics. So I think we should spend some time with this and not rush through it. So with that said, we have 3 viewers. We've actually had up to like, I think 10 was our highest point this evening. And I want to open it up for Q&A and say hello to everybody. Haley, Sean, Nico, Big Tony, Michelle, Anthony, Sis, Majesty. Let's see. We have Brittany on there. You know, Derek is there. Mont Cofield. So we had a lot of people stop through. I'm not sure who's still watching, but let's go ahead with the questions that you all have. There can be questions about the components of the business plan that we went over this evening, which are your products and your services and your marketing plan. Or, you know, you can always ask about any of the other videos, topics that we've gone over, or just any kind of question that's related to business. I'll wait because I know my computer always has this delayed response, and usually questions will start popping up right when I'm about to click in live video. Hey. Any questions here, LeSean, about marketing? I know you just went or you watched a seminar about marketing and branding yesterday, I think. Branding as a concept, as a technical concept, wasn't covered in here, but it was kind of implied when you explain under like your products and services. I have quite a few people peeking in here. Well, while I'm waiting to see if there are any questions, I do want to, tomorrow is going to be a little different. Tomorrow I'm going to have to, because I want people to still be used to that 9 o'clock, tune in at 9 o'clock kind of routine. Instead of me choosing to go on earlier, I'm going to pre-record a video for tomorrow's topic. I'm going to pre-record it. It's going to be the 20-minute information part of it, and I'm going to have it scheduled to post at 9 o'clock. And before I decided to do this 30-day Boss Up Challenge, I did have an engagement that I have tomorrow with a good friend. So it's going to be from 6 to 10 p.m. So what I considered doing was having the video post at 9 o'clock automatically, and then maybe sneak away, you know, while I'm in the venue, kind of go off and excuse myself, and then check in with you guys. Maybe at about like, I'm going to try my best, like check in at about 9:20, right around the time that the video will, the pre-recorded video will be ending, and check in with you guys to do like a brief Q&A. I'll step aside. And that just shows you that, you know, when you're in business, you rarely have time to go out and hang with people and do things. But when you do kind of like make that time, it's hard to really get away from business. It's like you're never really off, really, because you're your own boss and you determine, what's important. So sometimes you have to slip away. So that's what I'm going to try to do tomorrow. So how much would I invest? It depends on the industry. It depends on what level I am. If it's my first time starting a business and I'm low on funds, then it depends on the industry. So when I started out for assisted living, okay, you just tuned in. You weren't here earlier when I talked about I would actually we use the penny saver, but what was the most effective is when I would dress up and I would physically show up at the nursing homes, introduce myself to the social workers, and try to become known, a known face that would routinely go around and ask if there were any people that needed services. That was one of the most effective things that I did to get residents. And I used to have a lot of other owners always saying, how do you get your residents? Because people will start up a business, they get through that part of it, but they don't know how to get the customers. That was never a problem for me for assisted living. Um, and then, so I think like the county, and then when you get contracts with the government, sometimes you end up being on like lists of approved providers, so that always helps. For childcare, we in the beginning, I didn't do an open house because the I didn't do an open house for the home daycare, and I think I used a penny saver. I was not using social media back then. I think MySpace was like the social media, and it was not really. I don't recall that being used for that purpose. So penny saver, and once you're licensed, you actually, I think you are on a list as well, a list of licensed places. So if people are looking for you, they're looking for all the licensed centers in the area, they can find you. There was a thing called child or locate childcare, and that's a system used in Maryland. And it will basically let you know if you're a consumer and you type in the age of your child, how many children you have, where you live, it'll like bring up the licensed providers in your area. Now, recently, before I partnered with someone in the daycare, I would use care.com and I would do social media. And what I realized is that social media was very effective if we were posting routinely. So I wanted every day, Monday through Friday, there to be a post on our business page that would be either giving information that parents could appreciate, or I would always ask the staff, take pictures throughout the day. Use your phones, take pictures, and upload them to the group chat so that I can use those pictures to put in our on our page, because we have a lot of our parents will follow our page and people love to see their children. Of course, we had photo releases built into our contract. If there was ever anybody who made it clear they did not want their child used in any promotional materials, and we respected that. That was very rare though. When you post pictures of people's children and they're smiling and having a good time, and it's not just some pictures of kids you got off the internet. It's actually the real children that are at the center. Parents love it. And then they want to share it with their family because they want to say, oh, look at my baby coloring her ABCs. Or, look at my baby working on her shapes. They love it. And they share it. And they may not even be intentionally trying to promote you, but they are promoting you basically. And so I think with the person who's running the daycare now, I could not emphasize enough how underutilized social media has been since she took over. I think that I feel it's very effective now if you do it a certain way. Let's see. For the B&B, once you posted on the site, did the reservations just start rolling in, or did you have to do something else? They just started rolling in. It required nothing else. Do you have to pay to have the listing up? Nope. Nope. What you pay for with Airbnb, they have a service fee for each reservation. The guest, for Airbnb, the guest pays almost close to 15% of your price for finding you through Airbnb, and you might pay a couple of dollars as a service fee, but you don't actually have to pay anything just to be listed. That's free, so you can give it a shot with no real risk. With booking.com, it's free to list. They want you to pay them. They want the host to pay the 15 to 20% that they charge. So they give you all your money up front, and then they invoice you at the end of the month, and you have to pay them the commission. And what I explained in the B&B video when I talked about that, most of the guests that would book, I think it's because of what I named the rooms, the pictures and how they looked, how the rooms looked, and maybe even like the wording of how I described certain things, price point, so value, given all the things you're getting for this price, can't beat that kind of thing when they see it. So it really, from the moment I posted, I mean, we had a booking probably like the same day, if not the next day that we went live or active. How do you qualify your clients? When you say qualify, you mean like agree to provide services to them? If you tell me what you mean by qualified, then I'll answer that question. I think I'll take a shot at answering the question, what I think you might be asking, while I wait for you to actually clarify. If you're saying what criteria we use to accept clients in childcare, I don't know that you're really, you can turn people away, but I don't know that we've ever turned a child away. And you're not allowed to turn special needs children away. You have to be very careful if you do that. You have to show that you have demonstrated you were trying to accommodate the family. So for children in childcare, there's really nothing that we use to say they couldn't come, of course, except for what was within regulation. So if someone came and their baby was only 4 weeks old, we can't take them until they're 6 weeks. And we can't take anyone older than, I think, age 12, just to make sure they can pay. So if they're Medicaid waiver, then they come to you through a caseworker, and they've already gone through the stringent financial process to even get approved for the Medicaid waiver, which used to be like almost a 5 to 6 year waiting list. So you know that the people under the Medicaid waiver, the state is paying you the bulk of what you're getting, and they pay a copay. And you know they have that money because it was factored into their monthly income. So they're supposed to pay you, and they are left with a very small allowance that the state allows them to have. If it's a private pay person, we really don't do any kind of like credit check unless they are trying to apply for our low income program. Then I want to see, their social security income and proof of that. But generally, we don't screen for finances. So if they don't pay in childcare, the way I used to do things early on is very different how I ended. Early on, if someone didn't pay, I would be like, okay, well, you're going to have it next week, or, when you're going to have it. And they might be like, okay, I get paid next week and I'll make sure I pay. And then next week comes and, oh my gosh, you never believe what happened. They deposited my check in my account, but my account was overdrawn. And so now I don't have enough to give you everything, but I'll give you this much. And I'm like, okay, all right. It was always an excuse. And I was always listening to people's excuses. By the end, if your tuition isn't in by 12 o'clock on the day it's due, not only is your account automatically assessed a $35 late fee, but you will get a sit out notice and your child will not return the next morning. If you try to bring them the next morning, unfortunately, the staff have that awkward position to have to tell you can't drop your child off. When I started doing that, oh man, people, let me tell you something. When you hold people accountable like that, you start getting your money on time. I got more money on time when I treated people like that than when I was actually trying to help people. So yeah, I was and then they would lose their security deposit too if they did that. So for assisted living, this is the nightmare, the horror of it. You can't put a resident out. You can't evict a resident. We're bound by the same laws as a nursing home. So if someone doesn't pay us, we can issue an eviction notice just as a formality. We can do that, and that way you can get the clock started. You have to contact Adult Protective Services and let them know either their child or whoever's handling their money isn't paying, or maybe the person is responsible for their own money. Let them know they're not paying. You have to try to find them a place to go. If you can't find a safe and orderly discharge for them, you can't put them out. And that means you get stuck with people. We've gotten stuck with quite a few people. We've had people for months that we didn't receive payment for, or full payment for. That is very difficult. Can you imagine? Nursing homes are like that too. And you can't even send them out. You can't call 911 and send them out. If they have any kind of symptoms, you can't try to send them out 911. And then when it's time for them to come back, you can't say, oh no, we're not taking them back. That's called dumping. And you can get a fine for that. I think you can get up to a $10,000 fine for trying to dump a resident at the hospital. Assisted living it's a beast. I was just talking to someone today about how challenging assisted living is, and it's just one of those things where when I got involved with it, I mean, I knew there was work involved, but because I was looking to be a businesswoman and not a caregiver, I didn't mind doing it on the front end. But clearly, if I had a business plan to open 6 businesses, I was not expecting to be doing all of the hands-on work everywhere. And the person I talked to today, they were like, you like doing the easy part of business. You don't like doing the hard part, which is the actual work. And I'm like, getting started, getting ideas, making something from nothing is really not easy. And it's really not the hard work. There's a certain type of difficulty that comes along with having to delegate and be a boss, basically. Oftentimes, I'm going to you know what? I'm inspired. I'm going to do a video on this, and it's going to be something to the tune of bosses appear lazy. They may appear lazy. And we're going to dispel that myth. We're going to dispel that myth. People think that bosses are just sitting back, relaxing all the time, and that because they're not at the ground level, There is no sacrifice. There is no strategic thinking. There is no critical thinking skills required. There's no resourcefulness. Um, it's First of all, I told the person I'm not supposed to work hard anyway. I'm supposed to work smart. Working hard is for workers. I'm a boss. And I was dead serious. I'm not supposed to do what you do. I'm not supposed to do what you do. Not at this stage. Because number one, if I'm doing what you do, how are you going to get your paycheck? How are all of the behind the scenes kind of processes? How are those things happening? Who's making sure those things are happening? It's not magic. Somebody has it's somebody behind a business that makes sure that taxes get done and that legal issues are handled. Contracts are drawn up, critical thinking skills to get you out of a bind, new ideas about new services to provide and how to get new clients, how to stay in the game. That might not be hard work, but if it was so easy, why are more people not doing it? More people are at the ground level working as workers than there are bosses. So if it's easy to be a boss, why are more people not bosses? I people get to talking like that. I could talk, like I said, I could do a video on that and dispel the myth about bosses being lazy. I know there were people who worked with me at various levels of the company who probably thought I was like sitting up on a pedestal high and mighty, barking orders down to the mere mortals. They probably felt like that was how I viewed myself, and it wasn't. Anytime I'm doing payroll less than 24 hours after having a cesarean, like giving birth, I'm doing payroll within 24 hours. Yeah, maybe it's not hard, but it is actually painful to sit up and do anything when your guts have been cut out and a baby pulled out and then the guts put back in and sewed up. Yeah, less than 24 hours. And I got to figure out through how all the morphine and all this, I got to make sure that people's money is right. There's a certain strength that's required to do that. There is a certain courage, strength, and words I don't even know that exist to describe what it takes to do that kind of thing. So I get that person plucked a nerve with me today, especially when it's somebody that's telling you something and they've never been in your shoes. They've never started their own business. They may work alongside you, they may work with you, for you, but they've not started their own business from the ground up, had something in their mind, an idea, let it manifest, figure out the manpower and the support to get it going, and then keep it going. When a person has not done that, they don't get to have those kind of conversations with me. It's foolish to have that kind of conversation with someone, especially if the person actually does work hard too. I shouldn't have to work hard. I should be working smart. But clearly, if you look back on my Facebook stream and you see the live videos of me doing construction with my bare hands, you know, yeah, yeah, bosses, real bosses are not lazy. Real bosses are the ones that make sure workers have jobs and that the money gets in the bank without excuse. One thing I am very proud of, and I will say this, since I've been in business, even from day one, when we had like nothing, I've always met payroll. I've always met payroll. The only things that may have happened would be maybe someone's check might have been the wrong amount. People have been overpaid, underpaid. There may be errors on payroll, but I have always met payroll. Nobody who's worked for me will be able to come to you and say, oh, yeah, they never paid us on time. We've had direct deposit for several years. Every other Friday, people who work for Progeny Enterprises know their money is going in the bank. She said, calm down, girl. Woo. I, I'm just like, the nerve. I mean, like Bill Gates. I'm sure at some point Bill Gates was working hard. But should Bill Gates still be working hard? Should he? Is he not a boss? Is he not brilliant? Is he not a genius? Because now he's to the point where he doesn't really have to do very much. Yeah, miss payroll. Miss payroll. If I miss payroll, people won't people won't show up. Very few people that I know would hang in there if I had an excuse. Now, people come to me with excuses all the time. There have been times I've had to borrow money from, I would have to scrape together money from like my mother, my father, my sister, of course, take myself off of payroll, um, just to make sure that employees got paid. I always made sure, even if I didn't pay one of my mortgages, I would hold off on that, make sure people got paid, and figure out how to get caught up with that later. And generally, I always will get caught up, but can't miss payroll. Bosses figure it out. Bosses figure out how to keep the money in the bank, and then they get to a point where they realize that maybe they need to make some changes. I think that might be the first rant that I've had so far. I get like Dr. Boyce Watkins. Ooh, sometimes you strike a chord with him and he will go off. One time he like banged on the desk and you could just see like the camera kind of shake. So I think I just had my first rant on Facebook. Bosses are not lazy. You said good one. Bosses are not lazy. I'm telling you, I can't explain how difficult it is to. There have been times where I could work physically all day long. I could be on my feet, lifting boxes. I'm strong. I'm a very strong person, physically. I guess my dad just said I was always like that. So lifting furniture. I don't wait on a man to do anything. I'll get my dolly and a little back brace or whatever and do things. And I will work hard for like 14 hours straight physically. And I would be tired, but it would be a different kind of tired. The most exhaustion I've ever felt is if I'm sitting in my office all day trying to figure out how to solve the problems of the business. Figuring out, oh my gosh, how do we get our daycare reopened after somebody left a child in a van? You know, the mental fatigue is a different kind of fatigue than the physical fatigue. Putting out the physical work, making up some beds or taking care of the elderly is physical, but it might not require a lot of thought. When you have to really sit and think through things, sometimes you have migraines, your head is hurting, you're frustrated. You might sit at a computer all day long, just like typing out emails, putting out fires, figuring out, what the next move is. It's the type of exhaustion that is difficult to explain if it's not someone that's actually done that before. When you know that everything ultimately rests on you, There's an anxiety that exists inside of you that never quite goes away when you're a boss. And I'm sure even Bill Gates probably walks around with a degree of anxiety because he still has to worry about stock, his stock value and scandal and all kind of things. So, business plan. The goal for tonight, and I hope that you all met your goal yesterday. I set a goal for you all yesterday, which was to do the first part of the business plan, skip over executive summary, but do the general company description. I'm hoping that you all took a stab at it and got your thoughts down on paper for the first business you're thinking about. Because tonight, I want you to do a description of the products and or services that you intend to provide. I want you to remember, it doesn't have to be in complete sentences. I want you to put phrases if you have to, but I want you to describe the product or services that you intend to provide under the business you're considering doing. You have more than one, you can do more than one. What I would say is maybe focus on just one for now and then be able to redo that process once you get through the process one time. Hey, Chastity. So yeah, you want to go ahead. That's the homework for tonight. You're going to develop that part of your business plan. You're only doing like phrases. You don't have to write it out in eloquent sentences. Doesn't have to be beautiful. You can just, I would definitely recommend you all get like a composition book and keep it with you, because when you're really getting into boss mode, your ideas should be coming across your mind like several times a day. And if you think of something, you need to like jot it down because you may not be able to act on it, like especially if you're at work or some kind of environment where you can't really, do much with the idea, but you might forget if you don't jot it down. So I would suggest getting a composition book because I am going to help you set goals and give homework assignments. And so that's tonight's homework. The goal is to accomplish describing your products and services. And I think for Friday night, that's enough. I was thinking about also saying you should go ahead and think about how you're going to do your marketing. But no, you don't have to do the marketing. Since it's Friday night, just work on describing what your product is going to be to the best of your ability. Yep, spiral notebook, composition book. I used to keep a day planner before all these electronic calendars were so popular. Matter of fact, I just actually switched over to using electronic calendars, but this was my day planner. So each page like each day is a whole page, right? And so I could just like, if I was like making phone calls or talking to people, I would just jot down whatever I was doing that day. I would just jot down in my day planner. And this was like my Bible. I had this with me like all the time in my office or in my, if I had like a briefcase kind of carry case, I always had that so I could take my notes. Your iPad is your life. Oh, guess what, y'all? Let me show y'all. I'm excited, and you should be excited too because our videos are going to get a little more fancy. Let me show you. Yes. So I got the iPad Pro 12.9, and that way, some of the projects I'm working on now, I'll be able to do some extra special things and the quality will be very nice. Yay. So I haven't even I haven't set it up. I haven't done anything to it yet. I just picked it up yesterday. And I also, let me show you, because I'm investing in this. So all of these things, I ordered a new tripod because for those of you that have been tuning in, you see that I was having like problems with the tripod holding my phone. Just sound quality issues. So I got a tripod for the phone. I also got a keyboard and tripod stand for the iPad. And I can't wait to I think tonight actually, I'm going to get acquainted with these goodies that I have. And I've definitely kept my receipt because I'm going to write these things off on my taxes, of course, like we discussed in that video. Except some of this stuff is actually going to go under progeny, but some of it will be under the new businesses I'm developing. So I'm very excited to see what the quality is going to be like for that. They say that the iPad Pro is really good for people that are doing things that are related to videography and creative things. So, and now they say it's more compatible with like Microsoft Word and things like that. So I'm thinking I may be able to use it like a laptop since I have the keyboard and stand that comes with it. And it's so compact. You can fit it like in I can fit it in my purse. It's definitely nice. I can't wait to use it. I'm like, oh yeah, can you put that on my corporate account, please? Thank you. Thank you very much, Sprint. I appreciate you. Get the pen. They tried to sell me that pen, but I was like, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to lose it. I don't think I would use that pen. I can't imagine what I would use it for. But if I get to a point where it looks useful, I'll definitely grab one. We'll see. Well, surprisingly, we have quite a few viewers that are peeking in on us. If anyone is here that would like to ask a business question, feel free. Business question, question about education, doctoral programs in neuro. Oh, for editing. Okay. I'll be able to use it for that. Okay, well, I guess I'll find out soon. And please spread the word that I am looking for business-minded people who actually are interested in assisted living. I'm thinking about unloading my assisted living homes, and I would love for them to be able to go to someone that has a passion for that and would actually give it their best and do a good job, and we could work something out. I'm interested in meeting people and at least starting a dialogue about some possibilities, and soon. So yeah, business giving, pretty much considering giving another business away. You offer soil samples for free. What's a soil sample? You mean you'll take a sample of their soil and let them know if it's quality enough to have good growth for grass and shrubs and the kind of things they would want in their yard? Like you let them know if they could have a garden. I'm wondering if Barbara is going to check in. I know Barbara, she ended up coming, Derek. She came, Derek and LeSean, if you're still there. She came last night right after we got off the chat, and she must have went back and watched the video because she started commenting on it. Yeah, you test the soil. Yeah, because some people's soil is like clayish, and they might like expect you to work a miracle, and you can't really do much. You would have to actually bring in a lot of like I guess fill dirt or whatever and like build it up and then put the topsoil and turn it over. And it could take like at least 2 years or more, right? To kind of like get the soil where it needs to be to grow things. At the Waldorf homes, the backyards are pitiful. And I don't think that grass won't grow because there's too many trees, so sunlight won't get to it. But the ground is just so hard. Well, since it's Friday night, if you all don't have anything to do, whoever's still hanging in here, Captain Marvel I thought was pretty good. Captain Marvel was it wasn't the best movie I've ever seen, but I like the message. I like the message of Captain Marvel, and also I meant to actually acknowledge the victims of the shooting today in what was it, New Zealand? New Zealand. Um, I'm like, what is going on? What is going on in the world? Like, the you got the plane crash. That was real sad, you know. And because of the phones now and this whole live stream ability, sometimes I feel like we're just too in touch with people, too intimate with people. You just get to see a lot more now. I mean, you're you're on a plane and it's going down and you're recording it and you can hear babies crying and everything, and it was just so, I don't want to say graphic, but it was just, I don't like the fact that people can use the live stream and use the technology in ways that is just disturbing. I don't like that. And I when people who post crazy stuff on their timelines, that's like the only reason that I would block somebody or unfriend somebody at this stage in my life, because I don't really care about really anything else. But if you're posting crazy things on your timeline that are just disgusting, you know, that's a sure way to get unfriended or blocked. But I don't want to see that. I don't even want to really, I really don't even want to hear about it. I'm a person, I don't like to watch the news because there's never any good news on the news. And every time I'm sitting in the lobby waiting for my children while they're doing their karate, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, is there anywhere else? I'm about to go in my car. Like, can I sit anywhere else? I don't want to see this. They have a TV in the lobby and it's always something. I think when I was there on Wednesday, they talked about somewhere down the street, they should had a video of two guys stealing the ATM machine from the 7-Eleven. Then I heard something a while ago about they found a little girl in a suitcase, and apparently her mother had, I don't know if her mother was responsible for her death, but apparently it was the mother that put the little girl's dead body in a suitcase. By the time they found her, they was like she wasn't even recognizable. What is wrong with people? You know, I have real problems with that. That kind of stuff makes me have difficulty sleeping at night. And I'm the kind of person I would like maybe even cry over stuff like that. I might not know the people, but you just feel I'm an empath, and so I absorb energy from people. And if I'm not careful, it can actually like dull my spirit or, you know, just make me feel bad, basically. But to hear about what happened today, it's like as soon as you wake up, you just start seeing things and you're like, what are they talking about? What? And it's just like, man, like you just want to be able to wake up and have a day where it's just, peace, peace and happiness. This world is crazy. Well, clearly the business talk is over. So I'm going to let you all go unless you all have anything else you all would like to discuss. Okay. Derek, you know what I'm waiting for. I don't make moves until you call it. There you go. All right. I got the good night from Derek. I know my work is done here. All right. You guys boss up. Try to meet your goals and enjoy your evening. Be safe if you go out tonight.